This is the fourth period of trade deadline coverage brought to you as always by Betway. That's Dennis Bernstein. I'm Irfaan Gaffar. Dennis, let's get cracking. We'll start in Seattle with the Kraken. Look, they just locked up Jared McCann to a 5-year extension worth $25 million. But they've let it be known that they're really open for business. And a couple of players that might be on the move or could be on the move are Mark Giordano and Calle Jarnkrok. What do you think happens there?
Well, yeah, Jared McCann is one of the few success stories in Seattle this season. Yeah, he should be open for business, Ronnie Francis. I'll give him credit. When he failed with his plan, he failed spectacularly. I don't know which direction you could trade Jarnkrok, you could trade Giordano. I think you need to build already or rebuild in the year two because this plan hasn't worked to build from the back end out. I think they need a bunch more scores. The guys they signed like Wenberg and Schwartz haven't worked out. Jordan Eberle's been okay, but again, they should be very, very aggressive at the trade deadline, in free agency, and certainly trade some assets for draft picks because they don't have a ton of draft picks coming into this draft.
Yeah, you mentioned teams being aggressive. Now, I want to talk a bit about the Oilers. They lost the Battle of Alberta 3-1 to the Calgary Flames the other night, but when you look at this team, what is their biggest issue? I mean, we can pinpoint goaltending, but I'm pretty sure Kenny Holland has said that they're fine sticking with these two goaltenders. Is that the right move?
Unless you're going to trade Koskinen to a team like Buffalo, and we had Kevin Adams on Hot Stove on Saturday saying he'd be willing to use some of his cap space to help teams out. Well, this is a team that definitely needs help. Is it goaltending? I don't know. When you watched Darnell Nurse play last night, he did a terrible game, and he's up for a $9 million extension next season. So for me, there's a myriad of problems in Edmonton. They're up against the cap. They could have a team help them. But the other thing, Irf, is that a lot of players with no trade clauses, Edmonton's not a destination, and that's no disrespect to the city or the organization, but players don't want to go there and play. Like a good example, like Josh Manson. Could he help Edmonton? Yeah. Is he leaving Orange County to go to Edmonton? He's not. So to me, that's also a barrier, not just the cap space, not just the underperformance of certain players, mostly on the defensive side of the puck. It's just not a trade destination for players who have that protection.
Yeah, now let's go to a place where players probably want to play, and that's sunny California in LA for the Kings. Injuries starting to pile up, DB. You're there. What's the latest, and how does what's happening right now affect what they're going to do in the next couple of weeks?
Well, it's a great story. Or if they're on track for a 100-point season, and nobody had them as a 100-point team coming in. But this road trip that just came off, they went 3-1. It was costly. Brendan Lemieux got hurt in one game. The next game, Victor Arvidsson went out. And then last night, Mikey Anderson didn't finish the game in Boston. Brendan Lemieux's gone to injured reserve. It's an off day today for Los Angeles, so we're still pending news on Arvidsson and Mikey Anderson. But if it is a longer-term situation, they probably can replace the forwards with depth they have in the organization. Kids like Jared Anderson-Dolan, Alex Turcotte, who's hurt right now. The one key player here is Mikey Anderson. Alex Edler is supposed to come back from injury in a couple of weeks. But if Mikey Anderson's out long term, they may have to go to the trade market and find someone because they don't really have a lot of depth on the left side with the current team or in the organization. So look for that. Could it be a Ben Chirot? Could it be a Calvin DeHaan to come in at least on the short term while Edler gets backed up to speed? So watch out for Los Angeles. It's the health of this team that's the issue right now, not their performance on ice.
Interesting times ahead, DB, in LA and also in Seattle and Edmonton as well. Thank you so much for this, and always for more, head on over to thefourthperiod.com.